Renai. I'm digital marketing. Sorry, I feel like digital marketing in marketers at SJ Media. And today I'm going to talk about the digital marketing, the whole trends in China, and also from the past history to the trends in the future. So when you think about the whole picture of the digital marketing in China, it's not only about the platforms itself, it's also about the digital marketing, the whole landscape. And above this is the government, and below this is the users. And in between the government and digital marketing, there are a lot of capitalization there. So instead of only talking about the platforms, think about it in this way. Who owns those platforms? So Google owns YouTube, and Facebook owns Instagram, right? Who owns the WeChat?
Tencent.
That's Tencent. And what are other apps that Tencent also own? QQ and Didi, and a lot of different apps. Because due to the government, the role of the Chinese government in monitoring the whole social activities, so Chinese internet becomes the Chinese intranet. It's more like the internet that we only available for Chinese. So there are a lot of different apps, sort of like social media apps, content creating apps, and content video apps has been created in the past decades that actually could help the Chinese users to provide them some sort of like free content at the very beginning. Because the cost module in China is very different to the Western cultures. Because the Chinese consumer haven't grown with this pay, like cost per pay and cost per click or cost per view, this sort of module. So they get used to sort of enjoy and consume this free content. By whom? By user itself. But at the very beginning, it's sort of created by the platform itself. So when you look at those platforms like Tencent, like iQIYI or Youku, they create a ton of the free content for their users. And when you think about the way that's in the digital perspective view of the growth hacking, which is the ARR, the activation, and retention costs a lot of money, and then the referral revenue or referral. So the first of all, those platforms try very hard to acquire a lot of the users, but which is good, which is creates a really good environment for the Chinese consumers, because the social networking plays really important role in Chinese whole environment and Chinese mindset and Chinese culture. So by using these apps, which actually sort of fill out the gap between each different communities, even because China is quite huge, and we got a different, folks, different provinces, and even the Chinese, we speak different dialects. So by using those social networking apps, so which really bring us together, and also bring sort of the different business together as well. So when in terms of the B2B level, when the company trying to create the certain content that actually showing to their customers, they have to, it requires the marketer that Chinese product specific marketer who can create the good content, the qualified content, and curating and management this content from the very beginning to the completion. So which is under the rule of government guidance. And the cross screen is more about the user journey, because there are three types of the screen in terms of digital. We have a TV, desktop, and mobile. We try to be mobile friendly. If you're an advertiser, marketer, digital marketing, or creator, try to think about the seamless campaign that actually blank out and cover each screen. For example, the platform of Youku, so which the users can view the content by using their phone and fill out their spare time when they take the tram, or it's quite like a fragmented information that fill out the Chinese communities and Chinese users. And content marketing, the KOL, I'll talk about more about the KOL. So there are a lot of different KOLs. KOLs stands for key opinion leaders. So those leaders are people like Daigous. Anyone familiar with Daigous? Okay, so Daigous is basically the people who helping the business or the other people to shop in the foreign countries. For example, there are a lot of Daigous on Alibaba-owned platform as well, like Taobao, Tmall. So they help those people to buy, so like milk product or healthy care product. They can become the key opinion leader as well, and the micro influencers and influencers. So all those people are based on the platforms, and they are platform users as well. Some of them contract with the platform, so platforms sort of give them the impressions and users and help them to boost their own account as well. So they are more focusing on content creation. So when you think about the content marketing and the natural organic growth, you are likely to use the KOLs, because some of the KOLs, they have their in-house marketing, even content curators, management team, and video production as well. So they can be quite big. They can be some KOLs that owns about 5,000 people and staffs. Okay, and apart from those digital marketing landscapes, we have SEM based on the Baidu, and DM, and also the voice, some other digital technologies like voice recognition, DMP, which is a data management platform based on across a lot of different platforms like social media platforms, or even B2B platforms or e-commerce platforms that you would like to use and generate the data that give you sort of insights to retargeting or create your content and have a better understanding about your audiences as well. And AI has been very frequently used in Chinese market. Well, like a keyword search, like a hard search on Weibo. So Weibo had a campaign about hard search, sort of ads that you can buy the keywords. And so the keywords, well, when you click on the search bar, and there is like a rollout map, and then you will see a lot of keywords there that you can click on. It can be the trends, it can be the keywords that they bought. So those are AIs as well, because sometimes when they have generated a certain algorithm there are two ways to do the keyword marketing. So one way is you buy the advertising on Weibo or on this search engine SEM. And another way is that you do a lot of content marketing. So you have the organic search, which would pop up by the AI as well. And sometimes we have this chatbot as well. So chatbot, which when you're trying to type in, anyone familiar with chatbot? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, then I wouldn't talk that much. And automated marketing and marketing cloud. So Tencent and Alibaba is quite different. The whole structure about the Tencent is Tencent shares the APIs. APIs is an application programming interface. So which means when you have one account on WeChat, and then you can log in with WeChat account to Didi and any other platforms, which really fill out the gap between those information, and they actually control all this. They own all your data, and they have a better understanding about the customer journeys and could push you some notifications as well. In the marketing level, it's really good to have those data, because then when you think about the personas, then you have a better understanding about the audience table. So the marketing cloud between the Tencent and the Alibaba is different, because think about Alibaba's structure is like a tray. So the whole brand, there are a lot of different branches, there are departments, and in the middle of the tree, that's a data center. But Tencent shares the data points in different branches. So one department owns their own data because they have a lot of different platforms that needs to generate their own data. So when you think about in this, not only in a platform level, but in the capital level, and the government level, and the platform level, the users level, then you will have a better understanding of the whole marketing, whole digital marketing in China. Yeah, that's about it. Oh yes, I have. So I have here the elephant. So the question is how, when you think in terms of customer journey, user journey, how many steps is of putting the elephant into the fridge? Design thinking. Anyone have an answer? No? One? Hundreds? 10? Well, okay. That's the 3 steps. Like open the fridge, put the elephant in there, close the fridge. Easy. So what are we trying to do? Think about this way. Think about customer journey. What we're trying to do is simplify this as much as you can and try to make their life easier. So no more than when you created a campaign and when you work with these agencies, try to not make this too complicated to reach your landing page or your conversion, whatever the goal. So no more than 4 steps. That's a golden rule. Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Just to summarise that as well, I mean, because it can get overwhelming for any social media. Like it's just thinking about your own social media presence. So I'm going to get onto this sort of stuff. It's interesting when we talk about Baidu and the difference between Google and or doing search engine optimization in Australia is you go in, you grab all these keywords, you grab all the keywords you can because you want as many people coming to your website as possible. In China, you want to be really specific, okay? Because the thing is, there's so many people there that you'll be paying for people that, you know, you can actually just pay for the people that are prime, like absolutely ready to go, rather than try and help everyone. So it's a different mindset of how we approach things. We were mindful tonight to try to sort of bring it to a room that we don't know everyone's level of sophistication with any sort of social media, advertising in general, or the use of any platform, whether it be in English or in Chinese. So you know, the big thing for us is to sort of give you that overview. It ties it up beautifully what Renee said about the elephant in the fridge. You sort of sit here tonight, listen and go, wow, there's so much, but the whole thing is try to bring it back to bite-sized pieces that we say, this is how you do it. Yes, there is a commitment to content. Anything is, like when you're dealing with any audience, whether it be on an English platform or a Chinese platform, it is constant, interesting content. Something that's hooking people and keeping them going for a long time. So that's enough of us. So any questions?
If you were to have an app that needs someone to sign in Australia, you can use your email, Facebook account, or Google Gmail account, what would be equivalent in China? What would be the ones that would target and get like 95% of the population to sign in? What should they be using? What would you provide?
Yeah, that would be the WeChat.
WeChat.
Yeah. But
WeChat's most widely used. Yeah. So yeah, our look is sort of like you've got to talk in different volumes because the population is so great, the users are so great, and no one is welded to one. So it's a matter of going, we talk about the numbers just in Australia of how many WeChat accounts we have. People got 2 or 3. When we're dealing in China with, for example, with Huawei, Huawei's got 40 odd different official Weibo accounts because Weibo, so Huawei Shanghai, Huawei Beijing, Huawei Mobile, Huawei, because the audience, like their followers are so great, it's literally like, hey, we can just talk to everyone about circuit boards. You know, I'm going to have too many people following me about circuit boards. So there is not, unfortunately, there's no cookie cutter, but exactly as Renee said, WeChat's by far the most widely used.
What's the next one?
I think it would be Weibo.
What
WeChat.
about QQ?
QQ
Number
target.
one.
QQ target so the user of the QQ would be the younger generation. It really depends on what sort of a platform you're talking about. If this is an e-commerce like Alibaba, then that would be Weibo and Alibaba accounts. If this is something like a DD, then definitely WeChat.
Yeah, it's also worth noting as well with the Alibaba ecosystem, a great analogy of using a tree trunk, that really within that ecosystem, they take you on that whole journey within there. So we can put an ad on Youku. Someone might be wearing a nice pair of sneakers. You see those sneakers on the favourite star, the ad comes up, you click on that takes you straight to the store, you purchase the goods, you're still there with watching your content and on that screen, still within Alibaba, and the goods are on its way and you carry on watching. So and they're very good at that. And the Alimama, which is their marketing platform, is all about taking all that user data within there and being able to provide any person who's on whatever e-commerce platform within that ecosystem a complete journey. Yeah.
Can you please talk to the appetite for businesses in Australia to get onto WeChat, and then tell me a little bit about the typical challenges you face and how it is that your company resolves it?
Yeah, the appetite's actually probably, so a lot of people lean towards WeChat, but WeChat is a lot more of a close. You've got to get followers and they've got to start following you to do that. Whereas with Wave, we have a lot more customers where we're helping them get their official Weibo accounts, because that's helping them more with being able to, in line with their Instagram sort of strategy. So
is it more familiar? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's more familiar for them. We can do everything from just setting up that account for them, which is just going through an official process. I was going to something earlier about education institutes used to be able to just set them up, but recently the laws changed again, so it's about a 3-month process for us to just get, because it's through the government in China, making sure that it's an actual legitimate business that's offering services for Chinese foreign students to come here. So definitely for Weibo provides those companies a platform that then we can either let them go if they've got someone internally that can provide content. And everything can be done from simple scale of basically, there's some Weibo accounts out there, people are still putting stuff on in English, or they're doing basic translations through to specific content created for that audience. And that's where we can take someone on that whole journey as well. We've done stuff where we look after people's accounts, and we'll actually provide content for them, through to LAMP creating videos for us, full content pieces. We've done through for A2 Milk, we did a 4-part series that was on Youku about Australian life and farms and integrating straight from where the farm that creates A2 milk, so the cows there, through to how's that utilised in China. So yeah, Weibo's the way to go.
So in terms of WeChat, so you can have like an individual account and you can have like a public account. And then obviously public account takes a lot more like effort and when you want to maintain and be the followers and all that. So for like a small to medium size like B2C business, to what point do you think it is necessary for the business to build their own public account? Or is it just better to sort of do sponsorships and put ads and stuff like that? Yeah.
And that's the key. The key is without full understanding of the business, because again, people sometimes think straight away, I've got to go and put my business account up, but a lot of it is just like demand. It's like, can they actually, if they do get a following, if they get a small following, can they actually cope with that demand? So initially, it's working with the individual accounts, and then drawing up as we'd have to, in all honesty, we'd have to have a chat, look at your business, and sort of say, is that something that we could definitely look at recommending? Yep.
Is it easy for Australia to open a WeChat business account? Because I heard that's not easy.
Nothing's that easy.
It's not easy. But
Yeah.
it's the process.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Okay. So the big challenge for anything as far as business accounts go, and it depends on what the outcome, what you want from it, is ultimately you talk about safe environments online, and all the Chinese platforms are safe for content because all the content's filtered, everything. Right. So when it comes down to it, it's accountability. So ultimately they've got to be very sure who you are, what business it is, and who's accountable. And so often, like even for us, where when we become a Taobao partner, we've got to have our office, a registered business in China with staff in China who are accountable for anything we do.
So you're saying that if you need to open an official account, you need like an office in China?
No, not always, but it's just the paperwork for WeChat is it?
So it depends on the account that you want. So there's two main types, there's a service account and a subscription account. So service account is kind of your starting account. You don't need to have a registered office in China. We can do that for you. There are different restrictions depending on the kind of business that you have. But there is, as Dean mentioned, a lot of paperwork. It can take a bit of time even for an easy, like a simple business. But it's completely doable. So we've now streamlined how we do it. So we generally organise the service accounts. And there's a couple of different restrictions as to how often you can post, but it doesn't really, it's not dramatic. Versus subscription accounts, so they're kind of your major accounts where you follow and such. For those ones, you do need to have a registered office in China. So, but they really, you'd only have one of those accounts if you will be using that account daily. Like that's going to be your primary business. If you are a small to medium business, then a service account is perfect. But as Dean and also what Renee mentioned before, WeChat is a closed network. So you have to work hard to get your followers versus something like Weibo, where it's an open source account. So you can just, you can do a campaign per se to make yourself aware and just to target certain groups. So they are quite different. But in all essence, you can absolutely open a WeChat account without having a registered office in China.
Sounds like a chicken egg story. Visual account.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is easier than that. But there are, for WeChat especially, Weibo is a lot easier. We can have you up and running in a week. Whereas WeChat, Weibo's a week, so a WeChat can be a bit longer. But it's not that tricky. But there are some hurdles.
So they need to check Australian and yet is yet.
So there's a few bits of documentation. You need to have, off the top of my head, you need to have a business card, you need to have the ABN. Like the business card of the main person looking after the account, it has to be the client, it can't be an agent looking after the account. You need to have your ABN, it has to be in colour. Like there are certain kind of specific things that you have to provide. But because this is something that we offer, we know exactly what we need to suggest to you, to say to you that we need to get. Yeah.
You mentioned KOL and influencer marketing.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, what is the percentage spend that you'd spend on like influencers and KOL? And the second part of the question is, how do you measure conversion?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so KOLs we generally just use for Weibo because, again, going back to open source, lots of followers, all that kind of thing. So we have a list of about 25 different KOLs that we use, obviously different categories. So you'd come to us and say, I have a restaurant that I'd like to promote. Can I have a look at the kind of KOLs that you have? We have one in particular that we use for restaurants, which made me think of it. His name is Luke. Now, a lot of these KOLs will have followers on their Weibo account in both China and Australia. So he's more of a Melbourne, Sydney KOL with links into China. So he recently he does restaurants, lifestyle and products, retail products. He recently did I won't name the brand, but it was a suitcase brand. So what he did is he took this one suitcase and he went to different parts in Melbourne and took pictures. And he did what we call a KOL post. So he posted it on his account. Now he has over 330,000 followers on his account. So he posted it, he gave a spiel about it, obviously gave the links to then be able to buy it. And it had around 30,000 interactions. So that could be a like, it could be a share, it could be a comment. And in terms of how much that cost, it was around the $3,000 to $4,000. So if you look at that in how much one of those suitcases cost versus the cost of that came in, that's what I was saying before with the KOLs, it is a huge market. compared to, I don't know if any of you have worked with influencers on Instagram, but a lot of the time they can actually be quite expensive. Whereas we find the KOLs that we've worked with, especially on Weibo, have worked particularly well for quite low cost.
It's also quite upfront as far as what's paid content.
Yeah.
So the big difference between Instagram and Weibo is that it's very clear because you've got to purchase an ad placement even for a KOL to be able to talk about it. But culturally, it's fine. Like it's just a recommendation. So, but it's clear. I used to work in radio as well. In radio, you have the laws in Australia changed because there's some radio hosts who would just basically bleat off everything that they were getting free stuff for, but the audience didn't know that it was free. So the big problem with Australia with Instagram influencers is that they're just recommending all this stuff, but they're basically fooling their audience. Whereas on Weibo, it's upfront, honest, that's a paid post, it's a recommendation, you take it as that. I go, yeah, okay, I trust his taste. I know he's been paid, but that's fine.
Yeah. And so the followers will follow KOL because they are interested in what he's doing, so they want to know what he's promoting. So it's there because they're there because they want to be there, as opposed to being, told.
It's also, and as far as the effectiveness of the campaign as well, it depends on where the brand is in the relationship with the consumer. So there's a lot of work to be done. Like people sit there and they'll go, right, I want to target the Chinese, let's go. And it's like, well, you've got to introduce yourself first, you've got to say hello, you can't, I always shake my head when I get a whole bunch of people come to me at Chinese New Year saying, we want to say Happy New Year. We're going to get our brand going. It's like, not then, you're not. You've got to have that relationship ongoing and gain trust, because that's the key, is that it's an ongoing conversation. It's a recommendation for people that they trust as well. So it's a whole network of the influencers more natural within the Chinese community, as far as saying, here's someone I respect their opinion, and they've said this is good, so therefore I'll look at it. Yeah, so it's cultural difference. Sorry, I'll continue.
Yeah, so a lot of people, particularly when they come to Australia, they would migrate and use a lot of the Western kind of apps like Instagram, Facebook. So how do you find yourself, for example, an Australian company who is already marketing on this Western apps, and they realize that's the target demographic, and they're already using, maybe download Instagram, they download other stuff.
Yep.
Do we need to, spread ourselves wide to target the WeChat parts and other parts, or should we translate it in a way that allows them to.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're asking me to get into neuroscience.
Yeah.
If you want me to go, I'll go. Like, so what it is there's part of your brain that is long-term engagement, right? So your long-term memory, which is what every piece of advertising is trying to do, is get the brand into your head. If you dream in Chinese, then the ad should target you in Chinese, because you're not working to translate. Even though you're fluent, if you go to sleep and you still dream Chinese, the best way to get an effective ad is to deliver that, not just in Chinese language, but also the mood of it's got to be right. So when people have come, they've immigrated to Australia, and especially for the younger international students, and then of course, people say to us, but they all speak English. Of course they're bilingual, and it's super smart, picky on brands, but also it's like, do you really want engagement? And then there's especially if you want to tap into nostalgia, which is a big part of advertising, you've got to do that in the right way. So there's imagery, like we did a content piece, which was Good Food and Wine Australia. It was actually for Pizza Hut China, where we did a big video piece, and they did Australian pizza, and we had to go around and convince people to cook the way we want to, because that was the way it was going to be cooked in China. But for those people that aren't of Chinese heritage, if you can imagine shows like The Iron Chef, that was a great show there, and the way the imagery is very romantic, and it taps back always into the feeling, and that's the sort of stuff that you have to engage the audience with, the nostalgia, with the language that they dream in. Absolutely, it doesn't mean that the rest of it's not effective, but for us, what we say is that it's we're not talking about taking all the marketing dollars. In Australia, we're talking about still only about 6 to 10% of the marketing budget that they should be aimed at directly targeting the Chinese in Australia. when you start talking about direct targeting Chinese and mainland, the investments, the part